do you ever ask yourself, what does it truly mean to lead? Like, are you a leader who inspires action and builds those lasting relationships? Or are you just managing like day-to-day task? Really ask yourself. Because today we're going to dive into the heart of what I like to call authentic leadership. We're going to explore 5 key traits that can transform and impact creative ability and the ability to just thrive in your work environment. So this is really for y'all to like take and bring back to your work, your business, etc. And we'll start with a foundational definition. I love doing that first. We'll set the tone. So when I say authentic leadership, I'm thinking a style that's characterized by high integrity, accountability, and even just principle-driven decision making. You know, think about that. It's going to be about leading from your core values and building trust while also kind of fostering those genuine connections with different people. So that's how I want to think about authentic leadership in this particular video. I really think that authentic leadership does start with that deep commitment to personal growth. Kind of like everything that I talk about on here, right? That personal growth, because it's not about achieving perfection, but it's all about embracing that continuous self-improvement. That's why I always say progress over perfection. It's a game changer when you approach life with that mindset. And I've heard different leaders say things like authentic leaders begin with the will and the commitment within to work on themselves. And that's kind of what I mean when I say that, that if you're going to lean into authentic leadership, that means you have to be investing in your own development. And I mean in any way possible, whether it's your health through online courses, leadership training, helping the community just to learn more, just simply dedicating time to self-reflection is key. I look at that as like personal data. That's why it's so important, because in reality, you're not going to be able to lead others if you're not constantly growing yourself. And I've been learning that on my own journey. So think about that for yourself. The most you're going to learn is when you're teaching others and you're learning about yourself, because self-improvement is going to build that confidence. It's also going to, strengthen your ability to guide your team, your followers, whatever it is that you're working on. So think about that. How do you continuously get better? How do you dedicate time each week to personal development? It's something that you should really be considering, because if you're not seeking out learning opportunities and building things like a network of maybe mentors or peers that can support you and guide you, then you're really slowing down your process to getting to success. This kind of leads back to what I always talk about too, that awareness, just having self-awareness, because that's going to be cornerstone of authentic leadership. I'm really trying to give y'all the gems right here, right? Because it's all about understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, your values, and your emotions. You have to ask yourself, really do this right now as an on-site homework assignment. Ask yourself, what am I experiencing? What are my strengths? Also ask, how am I actually showing up in the world? You have to do things like that in order to continue to grow. So engaging in self-assessments. And they don't have to be formal or on paper, but this is going to allow you to gain insight into your emotions and your beliefs. And then what that does is helps you better and understand those of others, like what other people are thinking, how they're thinking, why they approach the work they do the way they do it, right? So think about self-awareness when you're doing this with authentic leadership. You have to lead with greater empathy, greater empathy and understanding. It's going to help you build stronger relationships. And then what that does with those stronger relationships, you're going to be able to make more informed decisions. Think about it. Like, if you know how to let's just say practice your mindfulness and your self-reflection, and you get feedback about yourself. Now you know how to adjust when a similar situation comes up, right? But you have to sometimes get that information from someone that's trusted. That's why I keep saying use these self-assessment tools to gain deeper insights into your personality and your leadership style. Everybody's different, but you have to think about your core values, the things that drive you, and how you got to where you are now. One thing I also will say that you do have to have discipline. This is something I talk about all the time. If you don't have discipline, then you're not going to be able to do any of this. So develop your discipline, because authentic leaders are going to be able to translate that self-awareness into consistency. And that's going to be turned into principled action. So consistency will turn into principled action. You might want to write that down. I'm just trying to give y'all some game right now, right? So just make it a point to check in with yourself as, you do things like complete your daily task, or just think about it when you're in your meetings, or when you're thinking about your business, or you're making content. Are you bringing your self-awareness to the table? Is that part of who you are, is bringing your self-awareness with you? Because with a stronger sense of your motivation and your limitations, that's what's really going to tell you is once you are able to identify your limitations, you can actually identify your personal leadership style. And then what that does is help you create a professional development plan. All right, so all these things go together. But again, it starts with that self-awareness. And you have to be disciplined about your self-awareness, because that's going to build trust and credibility, right? A couple other things that come to mind for me when I think about this is, like, you want to be able to show that you're not just talking the talk. You want to walk the walk, right? What do they say? I got to have two tongues, one in my mouth and one in my shoes, because I talk the talk and walk the walk. You know what I'm saying, man? Like, you got to be able to let them know that I'm here to set clear goals, and I'm going to hold myself accountable. Do you actually hold yourself accountable? Really ask yourself. Or do you play the blame game and say, oh, so-and-so made this mistake, or I did this because he said this or she said this? That's not going to work when you're talking about authentic leadership. You have to develop a system, develop an internal system for self-monitoring and reflection. Because authentic leaders are always going to be driven by that deep, that burning commitment to mission. You got to have that burning desire to mission, because that's going to help you not just focus on the bottom line. The money is going to come. If you're consistent and you're driven by mission, the money is going to come. But you have to think about the actual impact that you're bringing. That's going to be bigger than anything. So as you do progress, though, in your leadership journey, start to consider, like, what issues and challenges actually motivate you. And then also ask your team that. What issues and challenges motivate them, but then you have to take action. Don't just ask and not take action. Once you do that, you also have to empower them to do the same. I feel like it's super important to just recognize a powerful purpose and then just own it. You have to own your purpose. Too much are we just like walking around aimlessly with no goals. We have goals, but we don't have anything that drives them. So you have to think about the drivers in this. Again, what is going to inspire action, even for yourself? You have to give those people around you a sense of purpose and direction. So going back to what I said in the beginning of this with the self-awareness portion, you also have to identify your personal mission. Do you have a personal mission? I would start there. What's your personal mission? Can you align that with the business that you want to run or with the organization that you're a part of? Can you communicate? Can you communicate that mission clearly and with passion? If I were to ask you right now, what's your mission? Would you give me the sauce, or would you hesitate? I want to do this. I want to make $1 million. I want to. That's not a mission. All right? Make it worth something. Now, the final thing I'm going to talk about is super crucial for authentic leadership. And that kind of brings everything together, which is just being able to inspire faith in others. Again, you have to build trust and influence to help everybody around you take on your mission. But if you don't believe in your mission, they're not going to believe in it either. So you have to be extremely transparent and sometimes even vulnerable with your team and with the things that you want to live by, your motivators. But you have to help others believe that what you believe is actually worth pushing forward. Right? Even when things get challenging and there's hurdles and there's the unexpected ambiguity, make them believe you because you believe you. It's so important because over everything is trust. Without trust, there is no effective leadership. I'm dealing with that right now at the moment. I've worked with a leader who doesn't show trust amongst the other folks on the team, and that's damaging the morale. It damages the culture of collaboration, which is going to prevent innovation. So you have to just trust your team. Once I was told that from one of my mentors, he told me a long time ago, he was a VP of this very large networking company. I asked, like, how did you get your teams to be where they're at? What did you do? And he just told me, man, just bullshit and hire great people. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but seriously, think about what that means. You have to know how to inspire your team no matter what, if things are good or bad, and have the great people that can take that and still contribute their ideas and their skill sets despite the situation. All right, so authentic leadership is where that kind of falls into. It's really just the world that we live in, but a lot of times people just walk right past it. You have to focus on self-improvement. You have to focus on self-awareness. You have to focus on discipline, mission, and inspiring others. That's how you tap in to your authentic leadership and make a lasting impact. You can do it. I promise you can do it, but it takes practice. None of this comes easy. It's not going to come easy. You got to go fail forward and keep going because it's not really a failure. Now, I'm always going to leave you guys with some homework. And this week, what I want you to do is really just reflect on an area where you can improve your authentic leadership skills. It's there. Or go develop a plan. Go develop an improvement plan and track your progress. If you're not doing any of these, then you're actually not really trying to excel. Because you have to remember, authentic leadership and just leadership in general is going to be a journey. It's not about a destination. So you have to love the process. And once you learn to love the process, you're going to unlock all of your potential. And you'll be leading with heart and purpose. And that's when you'll see lasting impact. Now, if you found this video valuable, I do want you to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, share this with someone, drop some comments in the comments below. Talk about your leadership experiences and your personal development. I'm going to keep coming at y'all with this game until y'all soak it up like a beach towel. So, like I said, I always appreciate y'all for watching this. Even if it's only one of y'all or two of y'all or none of y'all and you only watch 5 minutes of it or 2 minutes of it or 30 seconds, I appreciate it. So, we're coming for you regardless. I'm not stopping. We're coming. Now go embrace your authentic leadership. All right, y'all. We out.